All right, we're back. Another week of the Trash Cast. Next to the fire, your host Mathias, along with the boys.
John.
And Will, and our special guest, the bird outside of John's window,
Yes.
the
Yes.
Lord of Change, trying to convince him to pick up Zinch again.
No. Well, if the new horrors came out, consider it.
For reference, this is a joke that John made before I made it, pretending it was my own joke.
Yes.
But you can edit that out later, Matt. Nobody
I
needs
mean,
to know.
low key though, like
Yeah.
the fact that the two of the Christmas boxes was the 2K list was very tempting, to be honest.
It's
no,
true.
it was one Christmas box, and I start collecting was a 2K AOS list. I'm like,
Has Zinch ever been terrible?
like gameplay wise,
Like gameplay wise, has picking up Zinch ever been a foolhardy thing to do?
yes, 5th edition Chaos Demons, because that they were just trash. It's funny because that's
There
when
we go.
Chaos Demons first came out. You probably remember this, Matt, when they came out as their own army for Fantasy and 40K, and it was like opposite ends of the spectrum. Like they were
Very
absolute
true.
garbage in 40K, but they were like game-breakingly OP, like Dark Eldar today levels OP.
They dominated
Yeah.
in fantasy. Absolutely dominated
Yep.
in every way, shape, and form.
I remember fighting a lot of demon armies back then.
Yep.
That would have been the time to release a plastic model of the Beast of Nurgle.
Too bad.
Yeah, I also remember
Very
fighting
much-
them. Fighting a lot in 40K. They were absolute garbage.
Oh yeah, they were.
You just
Because
had
I
that-
think back in the you had to deep strike your whole army.
You had to
Yeah.
deep your entire army, and I think
That's
you could only bring like half your army out.
Yeah, deep strike.
Kairos was pretty strong, particularly when the flyer rules came in for him. But yeah, that was a tough army to play.
Yeah, actually, after 5th edition, they like to the grand meta commentary of edition changes, changing armies. After 5th edition, they were the powerhouse they were today. So huge flip there in power.
Yeah. Well, it seems that bird is not able to convince you because it might be that there's some other cool models coming out that you would want to get before getting more birds. But we'll get to that.
Yes, let's get to that.
All right then. Well, we can start off with some, not so hype news, and then the next one will be super hype. So the not so hype, we got if I can pull up the screen, we finally got this month's coin and model. I must say I'm a little disappointed in the coin, just because of what it's paired with. The model, we got a Graveguard model, so I was expecting it to be like vampire count or soul blight themed, and I'm a little disappointed in that.
That actually makes me release this model. The coin, I agree. The coin I wish was like a vampire thing. But the Graveguard makes me really sad because it means we're not getting a Graveguard.
Yeah, the Graveguard are, I think, among, I want to say there's 4 kits. I counted earlier, 4 kits that are not either being updated, done away with, or totally being rehauled. It's this, the Foot Necromancer, the Corpse Cart, and Black Knights. Pretty much everything else got replaced. Graveguard did not quite make it.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking of just using the new skeletons as Graveguard and not running skeleton.
This is a suitable thing to do.
Yeah.
I think I like the Graveguard maybe a little bit more than you do, but I think, John, you also have a personal history of just being offended by the Graveguard because you saw them go from like $20 to like 42.
Like 40. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like in a vacuum, it's kind of like Baby Marines. Like in a vacuum, they're cool. Graveguard are cool. I actually like them. Besides the insane price hike, but it's like having the comparison I drew in my head. It's like imagine like they released new orcs and they were bigger than knobs, but you didn't update knobs,
Mm-hmm.
So your knobs are like smaller than your regular orc boys. It's just like,
Yeah, even if they were the right scale, they were made 15 years ago or something. Actually, they may not be that old. That's hyperbole. But yeah, it's definitely like if you were to use the new skeletons, like the Cursed City variety and the new box of skeletons as Graveguard, and not have any skeletons, I don't think anyone would be confused or mad.
Right, or even use the old, like if I saw a lot of old skeletons as skeletons, then that was
Yeah, that's a
also
great idea.
um,
Because I have a ton of old skeletons still.
or maybe even get like some third-party skeletons that are like just cheap. Um, I don't know. I'll think of stuff. I mean, I'm not too hyped about skeletons. I mean, I have like, sorry, I'm not too hyped about the unit. Like the models are great, and I'll find a purpose for them that looks cool.
As
So
for the topic of the coin, I do agree with you, Matt. It is a little odd that they're not paired with Soulblight. Then again, Soulblight's release probably isn't until next month anyway. So maybe they'll decide to do something with it then and give out a Soulblight token because it would be very odd for them not to do that.
I just find it weird because they're pairing it with a Soulblight model. You know,
Yeah.
every coin they've released so far that I can remember has, been themed, right? So you got
that's true.
you got the Space Marine one, you got the uh Daughters of Cain.
hmm The loosest one was the Zinch Pink Horror with the Be'lakor coin, but at least that was chaos. This
Yeah.
is a more general, just like Age of Sigmar coin. I actually, in a vacuum, I really like the way the coin is designed, and I got to figure out a way to spend $600 this month so I can have a set of 6 of them for objectives. But yeah, it is a little funny. Maybe they'll do 2 months of Graveguard. Who knows? I
Yeah.
expect we'll see the Soulblight coin next month.
I would assume it'd be some 40k, right? It's about time they release a 40k coin. Or is this all just AOS stuff? I can't remember.
There's been one 40k coin so far, but it was a special Black Library Day sort of thing. It was the Aerial Ventress coin.
Could have swore there was an Ultramarine coin, no? Or is
That's
That's the same one.
okay? So that's just the Black Library. Okay.
Yeah, so that one didn't have its own month.
when Death Guard came out, it was a Nurgle coin, so it wasn't really like K specific.
That's what I'm thinking of. The Death Guard one. Okay.
But it was Nurgle, it wasn't Death Guard specifically, I believe.
Guess we'll have to look back into that.
Did I not get that coin? Oh no, I thought I had them all.
Yeah, that was like the second one, I want to say.
Mein Leben.
It was either the second or the first. Can't really recall.
Okay, it's only $90 on eBay.
Donnie has one. I'm sure he doesn't care if you want to collect them all.
But it's Death Guard.
Yeah.
This is the point where I either go ham and commit and get all the coins forever in the rest of my life, or I get off the train now.
You gave him a Zone Mortalis board. I think it's a fair trade.
But that's like giving him the Zone Mortalis board turned out to be one of those things. It's like giving your friend like an unbroken horse, of just like giving him a giant project of like, okay, what am I gonna do with this? What does it eat? Where do I put it? Why does it keep breaking my fence? The Zone Mortalis board is a terrible model with a great premise.
I'll have to look this up.
Don't buy
The
it.
name doesn't sound familiar.
It is the spaceship interior board that Forge World maybe still makes, but it's a giant like indoor modular like ship hallways kind of board. The whole thing is made of resin, and as a model, it sucks. To illustrate why, so when they came out with Necromunda Underhive, with all the Necromunda re-release stuff, they took specific measurements of the Underhive doors and pipes and barricades and stuff, right? So it would fit with the Zone Mortalis. But because the Zone Mortalis boards are printed, or not printed, they're made in resin, all of them are basically unique, and the doors don't fit.
Yes. Or they could fit one day in the summer and then the next day and not fit, which actually has happened. That's straight up. You're playing a Necro campaign, and the next weekend we came, the doors didn't fit because the boards warped.
Yeah, Zone Mortalis board sucks.
Sounds
but
awful.
anyway, I'm excited to get more of these coins, and I'm sure a Soulblight coin will come out soon.
We'll see. Like you said, Soulblight's probably pretty far out.
Could be May. I think they mentioned in the stream today they're coming in May.
Yeah, I think the pre-order will be. I just don't think the pre-order will happen for. I think I can see it at the end of May being the first pre-order.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which I'm okay with.
They'll probably announce it on the 23rd, and then it'll be available on the 30th.
Yeah,
All right.
imminent.
Yeah. Well, that's enough about the coin and model. Let's get to the real hype news here. I know how much you guys like fashion. So, if you want to get your favorite White Dwarf on your t-shirt, GW's got you covered.
My gosh.
Now, I don't know about you, but this seems pretty bad. I don't think I want to have a White Dwarf uh, magazine cover on my front of my shirt.
You know what's funny is there's a lot of these that they have on here that I wish I could just buy a poster of. That Tyrannid one, that is the Tyrannid Codex from fourth edition or
Yeah.
third edition, and that was my first Warhammer anything. I would, I would gladly slay a squat in real life to get like a poster of that, but I know it's not going to happen. Also, since the Tyranids killed all the squats until Necromunda, there's not any left.
They're
Like these are
around.
great pieces of art, and it kills me that they're not available on WarhammerArt.com.
It's just, I mean, if they just did, we'll use the Tyrannid one for example, because it looks nice. Like if that was just it, I think it'd work. But then you got all the White Dwarf, you even got the barcode. Like why wouldn't you, why would you want this on your shirt?
It's just printed right on there. It's the kind of thing you could only wear to a Warhammer store or like a Warhammer thing. And those types of shirts are just not recognizing. Like a key thing you should do with your nerd apparel is have it be subtle enough that if somebody knows it, it's cool. But if they don't, you don't look like you got dressed in the dark and are just like wearing a barcode. Like John, your Mandalorian shirt.
Oh, yeah, so this is the way.
It says "This is the way." That could. It's just like not a like obtuse or bizarre thing anyway. Like there was a Drukari shirt that they announced that had like "Pain pleases me" on it. Who's gonna put that on when they go to the grocery store? If anything, like the "This is the way" shirt is just gonna make old ladies be confused and hope that you will point them to where the organic produce is. Like it's just this is not how you do nerd apparel, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a little baffling. I mean,
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I have a official GW shirt. It was a gift to me, and it looks nice. It's whatever, right? It's got the Drukari logo on it. That's about it.
That's pretty
See,
cool.
that's cool. I love those. Like my favorite, yeah, like we'll say my favorite like Warhammer shirts that I own are like just the faction logo ones. Like I have a Thousand Suns shirt, which is the 30K. It's a red like burgundy shirt with the logo, and it's like, I mean, no one's gonna know what that is. Even people who play 40K, because it's no one plays 30K, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
um,
So like those are fine.
Yeah,
It's when you get to stuff like this, it's like I don't think I want people to just see White Dwarf on my shirt
right.
and a giant barcode and all this other stuff. It's too cluttering and it looks really ugly.
I guess if like managers were allowed to wear this in their store, it would give you like another thing to put on. Which like for that, almost anything will do. But yeah, this is weird. I I don't know. I don't know who this is for. But who knows?
Well, you better hope that your your favorite White Dwarf would be able to be printed on a shirt, because I think they said they only have 143 out of the 415 shirt or things. Yeah, 150 White Dwarf covers out of the 463. So
I also just think a lot of this art is not very suitable for t-shirts anyway. As cool as some of it is, like it's quite busy for a shirt. I mean, I guess like there's like death metal band shirts that are incredibly detailed and have like basically paintings printed onto them. But yeah, I don't know. This is not the way.
yeah, it's literally they should have just put the art on the shirt. Even then, the art wouldn't be that good. But get rid of the White Dwarf, get rid of the barcode, get rid of everything except for the art, and that would probably been good, maybe. Some of it's questionable. Like this Empire guy.
Yeah.
If it was just him, probably be a good shirt.
Yeah, the vampire one too.
Yeah, the vampire one. The vampire one's good too. Of course, it'd be weird when they're on just a black tee, but not many people would know, and it's still the White Dwarf cover, just without all that extra stuff. I don't see this doing any well, but I could be wrong.
They've made some worse shirts, but not many.
It is a strange one, I would say. But I'm glad to get your guys' opinion. I think we're all in agreement that this is pretty bad. So, guess what, guys? Pre-orders are finally coming back.
Whoa.
I know. This is stuff we don't really care too much about because it's, we've known about this stuff coming for a while. But
Actually,
I thought it'd be nice to go through it and see what is finally coming out.
Two very cool things here.
All right.
Well, maybe one very cool thing and another cute thing, but
what do you find cool that's coming out for pre-order?
So to start off, not the cool thing, but the Necromunda starter set's coming out, right? Which, to be fair, if you've never played Necro, this is a great buy. I mean, it looks if you've played Necro, it looks very scarce. But hey, you get terrain. I mean, I prefer the first starter set, the one with the cardboard 2D terrain, because you get more map.
Mm-hmm.
But this is cool if you're starting out. No complaints, no real complaints there. But the super cool thing that's coming out with the cute thing, it's a real thing because it's first, is this transfer sheet of propaganda like tag art, which is super cool. Like there's like posters and
little wanted signs.
Yeah, like wanted signs, door. Like if this came out like 2 or 3 years ago when we were our group was Necro hype. Oh my gosh, I would have bought like 10 of these and like plastered Will's Zone Mortalis board with these before they warped in the details. But this is super cool. I might pick this up just because of the FOMO if it's cheap enough.
Wouldn't it be just easier to get a third party?
That's true.
Off eBay or something?
Forge World makes very good transfer sheets.
They do, actually. You're right. So that's the cute thing. Now, the super cool thing is these upgrades. These are plastic, I believe. They're just weapons and heads and like guns and weapon. Yeah, right. Swords and grenade launchers and there's bits. These are plastic bits. We haven't seen this in a long time. The last time we saw, AT had this, but AT was more like, hey, here's the sprue we included with this warlord, so you could put on your old warlord that you magnetized, But this is like, hey, here's some weapons, some random weapons and random heads for your plastic gangs. Again, this is bits being sold in plastic.
Do we know this is plastic?
I think it is because I hope it is. Maybe I read a rumor that said it was plastic.
The Goliath head mohawks seem like they would be pretty hard to do with good fidelity and resin. And make them match perfectly. If it's plastic, that would be pretty cool.
I think it's plastic because Forgel already sells a resin version of these, so it would not make sense to me if they just re-released it. So I hope this is plastic.
Aren't the Escher and Goliath gangs plastic?
Yeah, all the gangs are plastic, but so I hope these new bits are plastic. They could be resin. I mean, honestly.
Let's hope not.
But let's hope not, because if this is plastic, that's really cool. They're releasing like a plastic
Yeah, an upgrade frame. That would be cool. Not even an upgrade, like a cosmetic frame too. It would be really cool. That would be really nice because it also means that Forge World is slowly losing their grip on bits. Plastic bits, thank you.
It makes sense for Necromunda. You're customizing your individual tools.
Yep. Who doesn't like more customization?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. That's a lie. The new orcs are cool.
Headcrackers Mad Mob. Mad Mob is cool, and also the Black Library releases are very interesting. Mostly, in part because there's some really cool covers for those Sisters of Battle books, but the most R-rated Warhammer novel ever is getting an audiobook.
Is it Jonathan Keeble?
Which one is
The
that?
Dead Sky Black Sun Uriel Ventress book is like the least safe for work Warhammer anything. It is shockingly violent and disturbing, and like is kind of it's sort of the thing that people immediately go to of like, this is an example of grimdark. I'm very surprised that they decided to put this in audiobook.
I'll be sure to add that to my list.
I mean, if you like, it's about an ultramarine going to the Iron Warrior homeworld in the Eye of Terror. Not their original homeworld, but like where the Iron Warriors currently live.
Mm-hmm.
You figure out in part how the Iron Warriors make more Iron Warriors, and it is well. If you ever decide to read it, it's not a bad book by any means, but it is it is shocking at times. So it's kind of cool that they're coming out with it.
Well, I'm sold. You sold me. I don't really like Space Marine books, but I'll give this one a shot.
It's some of Graham McNeil's better work, even including kind of his Horus Heresy stuff. This is a book that like kind of solidified his sort of like modern take on Iron Warriors. So
Yeah.
there's some cool Chaos Space Marine interesting stuff in here. Like it's on their planet. Like it's a little. I like books that give you a little bit of a look into like the life of a Chaos Space Marine because it's kind of a fascinating topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it also has like some cool descriptions of a demon world because if you think demon world, people usually think, oh, like demons everywhere, like reality warping, blah blah. It's not necessarily that. So it's a very subtle take on what that would look like.
Yeah, that's very true. It's a good example of that. And it's not just Hellfire and Doom 2016. As cool as such things are. Uriel Ventress also I think is a very very suitable protagonist. Like he's pretty easy to like. The fact that he's kind of a pariah among the Ultramarines endeared him to a lot of people. So yeah, it's something of classic is probably a little too kind, but it's a solid book, and it's kind of cool that they're bringing it back from the dead in the audiobook form. Hopefully, Jonathan Keeble does it because he just
Makes everything awesome.
He could read the phone book and have gravitas.
Side note, just like podcast tangents. So Jonathan Keeble is my one of I'm gonna say Will's favorite as well. Like my favorite audiobook or audio drama narrator because if you listen to any of his stuff, you'll see what I mean. He's super good at having an epic narrator voice and good character voices.
Yeah,
so one time I was listening to like some Horus Heresy thing. I think it was Siege of Terra. And then the next book I listened, I was like, I'll pick a random book from him. And it was like this philosophy book that's narrated by Jonathan Keeble. So it's like the guy talking about Plato, and it was waiting for and then the traders descended from drop pods like anytime because his cadence and voice does not change, and it's waiting for the explosions to happen. So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah,
but he's super awesome.
Yeah, he has a great range. He does stuff other than Warhammer books too, as John revealed. But he has a very recognizable voice too. He's the main narrator and sort of like the voice of the Amnesia Dark Descent sequel, which is very good. Like he's instantly recognizable, but he can also do so many different voices, which is really important to sell out there weirdo settings like 40K.
Well, I'll be sure to give him a listen. Like I said, I don't think I've ever heard anything narrated by him. Though I've been mainly doing all the Eisenhorn stuff.
He'll ruin it for you because you'll think he's so good at it, then everyone else sucks.
Is Eisenhorn
audiobook that's not him because it's just worse. Honestly.
Well, there's a couple other really good guys too. Like Toby Longworth is really great. Though his narration is very good. He does a great job with Eisenhorn. And there's a couple other up and comers who are really good too, and a few who unfortunately don't work for Black Library anymore. that I really like. David Timpson only did
Mm.
7 books for the Horus Heresy, and they're all really great performances. And then just kind of moved on to do other things. But Games Workshop has been lucky to have a good working relationship with Jonathan Keeble. You often hear him in trailers for miniatures. Like he's been doing voices for those trailers all the time. Kragnos happens not to be him, but usually if it's like a Stormcast or like a Space Marine, Jonathan Keeble is the one doing the voice.
Did not know that.
So it's cool that that to see that there's more audiobooks. Hopefully it's Jonathan Keeble. I have a feeling it will be. But yeah, that was the other cool thing from that article to me.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out next week. Or, well, I guess next week you'd go on pre-order.
Yeah.
So in 2 weeks we'll find out. But, yeah, that's all the next week news, because I kind of just skipped over Underworlds and that other game that we don't really care about. But looking at orcs here, we got another orc model for a new Model Monday, even though they said they're not doing that anymore. We got a Mad Doc, or a Pain Boy, I should say, not a Mad Doc. That's a character.
Actually, Matt, it's a Pain Boss.
Sorry, Pain Boss.
Which is a unit that I believe was last in the game in 4th edition and never had a miniature. Often, like Mad Doc Grotznik, who is the character Pain Boss, was just sort of used in place of them. They never appeared in the codex after 4th edition, but seems they'll be in the new Orc Codex, which I have a feeling is going to be sometime this summer or in the fall.
Nah, they'll be October, you know.
Oh my gosh, redeeming themselves would be great.
It's funny. Orktober is a funny thing because, like, on paper, they did get 6 new models. It just wasn't quite what it wasn't quite the revamp that I think orcs actually needed. Not a mistake they repeated with Necrons. Like this, I think, yeah, this could very well be October. It's true.
Well, I laugh at October because I just remember when they did that, like none of the models came out in October at all.
Yeah, that was the funny part.
The pre-order was the last day of October.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, there's nothing for October. It's all in November. Okay. But yeah, there we go. We got another Beastnaga model, I think is what they're saying he's running with. So
I think they say he's particularly favored by the Beastnagas, but this looks to be a good middle ground of like he could fit anything really.
well, yeah, of course. Everyone will probably use him as a Pain Boy or Boss, whatever. What do they call it? Pain Boss? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this is the Pain Boss. It sounds like the Pain Boy will be sticking around. I love the grot on the little unicycle. That's really one of the better grot orderlies we've seen, and grot orderlies tend to be of really high quality in general. People are kind of divided online about this model.
What, the grot?
I know the Pain Boss. His face is a real choice. It's basically an orc without a head. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, a weekly reminder that John hates space orc, and all
True.
these new orc models make me want to play space orcs and kill team because they're so. This guy is dope. Like,
It's really cool.
He's really cool. I can see myself picking this up and painting it and putting him on the arena board. Fine. I'm fine with the face. I think it's unique. Not every orc has to be some screaming maniac, right? Like, I think this is a cool take on, like, they could wear like surgical masks. Well, in this case is like a metal plate on his face, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a metal plate.
It's face, proper pronouns.
Like, yeah, the orc's face it's even more than just a metal plate, right? Because this metal plate is smaller than an orc head. So like it seems to be the idea that like the orc is like maybe has like his brain and his eyes or something left. It's not unfluffy though in the lore, because like Gazgul Thraka, right? When he gets like his cyborg upgrade from Mad Doc, like he literally walks to Mad Doc's tent with his brain in his hand. Like somebody chops his head in half and he shows up with his brain like outside of his head and like somehow survives.
Doesn't Ragnar kill him and cut his head off? Well, not kill him, cut his head off, and that's why he has a new model.
Yeah.
There you go.
So like I mean orc physiology is just like video game physics. So I think the head is actually really cool. Also it seems like it would be a pretty easy thing to swap out if you didn't want to use it.
I'm sure
like
there's multiple kits that he'll come with.
a weird head is much easier to fix than a weird pose.
Yeah.
Yes, easily. 100%.
How do you feel about this model, Matt?
I like it. It's orky. It looks nice. And I mean, there's not much more to say about it, honestly. They're doing a great job with it. It's not a hunchback orc.
Yeah, it's he went to the chiropractor. He is the chiropractor. I love the squig IV, but actually my favorite thing about the model, and it's not actually part of the model, it's part of the paint job. I love on his totem on the back, there's a free-handed like orc caduceus, which is so
it's
funny.
like the
It's like the hospital.
the Red Cross symbol. Yeah.
Yes. So ridiculous. I hope that's a decal or something. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually the orc thing doesn't. The 40k orc thing is a little too stupid for me, but this is like the right brand of stupid, and it's also just it's sculpted well. So there's that.
Well, with my gaming group, we were theorizing that maybe this guy could ride a squig. You get that,
Ooh.
help him keep up with like speed freaks and all that.
Yeah, I mean his little buddy has like a micro wheel, so it's good to go.
Yeah, so we're just hoping we'll get more stuff out of this, but we'll have to wait and see, honestly. But
Yeah,
honestly, I like it.
I think the orc thing is sort of going to be a slow burn. They might decide to reveal, if it's going to be in the summer, they may decide to reveal much more of it during this week in Warhammer Fest. But I could also see it coming later in the year.
Yeah, well, when we get to Warhammer Fest, I'll have some thoughts on that. But I mean, 40k does have 2 days. It's tomorrow and Thursday, right?
Yeah, it's very possible. They might do more. I actually wasn't expecting anything from 40k today. So this was sort of a surprise that it got snuck in there.
Hey man, they said no new model Monday, and they means new model Monday, so they stuck to the promise of just pooping on people who think new model Monday is over. So
Like us.
They're like, no more. We're just not gonna call it New Model Monday anymore. It's just gonna happen. We'll just title it something else every week.
Yep. But yeah, this model kicks ass.
It does. But this week is Warhammer Fest, and we did get day 1 at a reasonable time, at least here in LA, 10 o'clock. It was nice. Didn't have to wake up at 5:45 to watch this.
Yeah, I caught it, in sort of the middle of my workday. I was just like, "Whoa, this live stream is happening!" And I basically got to see some of the centerpiece models, without seeing the article. So that was kind of cool.
All right. Well, shall we just scroll down first to good old Kragnos, the big centaur.
I'm gonna send you a picture, a mock-up of the size, just because this mock-up made me like this model even more.
All right, go for it.
Let me go find it really quick.
Of the scale of this miniature.
Yeah. Maybe we can chat about it for now. What do you guys think about this model?
I mean, it is a great decision, I think, to introduce like a god scale model like this to Destruction, which is a faction that, even though it has gotten some great updates, mostly it was the Gloomspike kits and the giant miniatures they came out with. Like, it's cool that Destruction has a brand new character, a new character to Age of Sigmar, who's kind of like thematically uniting all of the sort of just like random smashy monsters that live out in the woods and break stuff for fun faction.
How do you feel that it's not a green skin, or I guess an ogre?
I think that's the right choice. Because they could do Gorka Morka, like if they wanted to, but the fact that he is, yeah, I mean, he's really big. John just linked an infographic of it. He's the only thing that he's really smaller than in terms of height is the big giants.
Dargans.
But like, it's also this character. His existence has been hinted at for ever since Beastgrave came out for Underworlds. So it's kind of cool that like that those sort of background details from other things kind of came to the forefront.
Now, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought you guys said this was like a wood elf model kind of thing.
And we were wrong. It's
That
not.
was the theory. I mean, he's a brand new character.
Mhm.
He's never been named before this. Like we knew that there was like this last of its kind creature that like existed beneath the mountain of Beastgrave. Pretty sure it's this guy. I don't think we're going to be seeing an army tied in with him. He might just
No.
be.
Going from the live stream that I watched, he's just gonna be a character that you can take in any destruction army.
I think he will get an army before the year ends.
An army of like
Of
an army book that's kind of uniting all the chaos,
no,
all
of
the destruction stuff.
like his stuff. Actually, on that note, I think it would be incredibly lame if he didn't have an army that came with.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying, just going from the live stream.
I'm saying if they made that decision, I would not be a fan of the decision of just releasing him by himself. I think because even Nagash, right? Like there's models that look like Nagash, across the different armies. I guess except for Flesh Eaters. But like more Gats look like Nagash, more Tarks look like Nagash, and I guess Bone Reapers.
Bone Reapers definitely are following that path.
So I hope they release an army, even if it's just like like some cultist, like Kragnos cultist or something, that lets you, because he still aesthetically does not fit in destruction right now by himself. He is not a green skin or an ogre. So,
but he is the Beast Man.
He is the Beastman, right?
I mean, but he's also not a giant, and he's not like a troll, or he's I think it's suitable that like if any faction was to have like a sort of a big god model that was just completely out there and like didn't look anything like anybody else except for the fact that he's sort of low tech and this big chunky monster. I think this is the faction to put him in. It would be cool if like if they created like um, more stuff to go with him, like if he had his own book. But I think as he is now, it's kind of a novel idea. Like we sort of, I hadn't thought about the thing of like he's kind of like he could be like his faction's Nagash. Like you could bring him in any of the other armies and like sort of have him as like a high powered god model to sort of enhance your force. It would be cool if they made more stuff. I think it would be a little weird if they made more of his species so soon after like having him be like all of my people are gone. I mean, he could easily go find them, I'm sure.
Yeah. I just kind of feel that. Well, I don't know, from the comments I've seen, as well as that, like he's the destruction players think he's kind of cute, like cool, something for destruction, great. But it's not like, oh my gosh, like I would love this guy in my orc kind of.
That's interesting.
In the same way that like like Alariel came out, I'm like, cool. I wouldn't be hyped to have her in my Stormcast, right? But she's super dope in Sylvaneth.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've read different opinions on that.
Okay.
So like on TGA and like on Reddit and stuff, it seems like at least most people think he's a cool model, but there's a lot of destruction players who are like, oh, this is so cool. Like this is some crazy, monstrous, wacky thing. Then again, counter to my own argument here, they do sort of lay the seed that there's something that's going to be tied in with him, because there's that little idol on his base,
Yeah,
and it says, "Who could have built those?"
and that's the thing. Like the majority consensus I've seen from everyone is that this is a great model and a great concept. But I have yet to see large swaths of destruction players saying, "I would love this guy in my army as he is just by himself." It's mostly like it's mostly he's cool, and the future he brings is hype of like again like people like him or creatures like him.
Well, they say that now, but they don't know his rules yet.
Oh, his rules are pretty bad actually, from what I heard. He gives
Oh.
plus one bravery to destruction people beside him. Yay, we all know how like leadership buffs work in war games of Warhammer. So right now he's whatever. But maybe he'll have some other bonuses. Right.
We also have to see his full rules too.
Yeah.
Like,
It's. I guess I'm just so amused with the whole like them hyping the leadership buff of like, yay, plus one bravery, guys, so cool. No one cares.
it's kind of a big deal for destruction, I would argue.
But it's not.
If you have a lot of ogres and Troggoths that get murdered on Battle Shock, like the fact that it's destruction in general is kind of interesting. It's not, I mean, it's sort of a boring buff, but like it is cool that it's just destruction flat out. It's, I
Yeah.
believe, I want to say Gordrak's feat, not his feat. It's a War Machine term. I think Gordrak's command ability is a similar thing, that it's like destruction models.
Destruction only, yeah. Unless they
Um,
changed it with the new. I haven't looked at Iron Jaws in years, so. But yeah,
Yeah.
like, that was destruction only or destruction all, yeah.
Yeah, just destruction all, which is kind of cool. I do imagine that they will make more stuff to support him coming out later, because such a model like this, I would be surprised if they released it and didn't have anything else to follow it in destruction this year. But
I don't think they will.
We'll have to see.
Really, you think he'll be by himself, Matt?
I think he'll be by himself.
Huh.
I think it's very possible either way. Like they if they were to make an army to have Kragnos sort of have it be like his book, unless it was like a new species, or if it was a multi-species like legions of Kragnos kind of situation, where it was like ogres, goblins, trolls, and giants that like follow him specifically, that
Yeah.
could be kind of
Even
interesting.
then, because it's the Inari thing of like, here's like 3 models that have no future, like, yeah, you could combine Eldar, but like, it's not very exciting.
But was the Yanari experiment successful?
I mean,
you
it
tell me, Matt.
was. It was successful. It's just you'd only ever see 2 out of those 3 models really, and you'd only see one of those models ever being really played.
Which is the Vizark, right? Not the Vizark, the Young.
Yeah, it was the Yvrain, and then the
Ykarn.
Ykarn saw some play as well. But it was mainly Yvrain. But I mean, like I said, this could change. Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go by what they said on the stream, which was
Right.
they just wanted him to be able to be taken in any destruction army whatsoever, and not like break your faction.
And again, that's cool. That's a dope thing, because he's a cool model, right?
Right, and so that's why I don't think that he'll get an army, at least not this year. Maybe Age of Sigmar 4.0, maybe he'll get one, but
Okay.
if AOS 3 is coming out like John is predicting this year,
I think, side note, I think it's Saturday. I agree with Will.
then I think he would. I don't think he would get an army until 4.
Unless the starter set is half destruction, and it's goblins, orcs, and trolls and giants wearing Kragnos hats. If it's an army of Kragnos cosplayers, that would be sick. Like I like how one of actually my favorite details about Kragnos is his shield. Right, his shield has like this very primitive etching of himself on it, and like he went and just sort of stole it from some like ancient burial ground or something, because like he's on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting because he's not a big dumb brute. Like he's like he's an ancient entity of the realms who's like a pure being of like bestial wrath, like of the realm of beasts. Like he's not a chaos guy, He's just like a big angry thing in the realms that thinks civilization is stupid, and that chaos is stupid.
And that
Which
undead is stupid.
which is
Yes.
you agree with him. It'll be interesting to see in the lore, and not to go on too long on Kragnos, but like Destruction already kind of has a leader with Gordrak, who is he's like basically Orc Hercules. He's like the son of Gorka Morka, the unintentional son of Gorka Morka, and like I guess he and Kragnos are gonna have to come to a decision as to who's the biggest and the baddest, and Gordrak will probably lose.
So I'm not familiar with AOS lore. So it's like Gordrak a demigod as well, or
So Gordrak is a demigod. He's like the character mega boss from the Iron Jaws faction,
Mhm.
and he was literally the result of like Gorka Morka pounded a mountain with his fist and then broke a tiny sliver of his knuckle bone. The knuckle bone fell into like a swamp and then turned into Gordrak. And like Gordrak is this very like sensible, like strategic orc war boss. As strategic as as I can be. Like Gordrak's whole thing is he thinks Archeon is bad for the mortal realms because Archeon is like making things go extinct, and then you can't fight things if they go extinct.
Mhm.
Like that that kind of
that
character.
mentality.
But like he has worked with. The interesting thing about this is like destruction and like order have worked together before.
Of
Like
course.
Gordrak has helped the Stormcasts on occasion. If Kragnos enters the picture, that's probably not going to happen anymore. Not that they can do that on the tabletop anyway, but it's kind of cool. And this is the end of Broken Realms, which they did make clear.
Hey man, they said new model Monday's done. So
A Brokener Realms is coming out next month.
side note, he's a multi-kit. He has two faces.
He does have
He
two
does
faces.
two
Kinda
faces.
cool. Actually, that's really cool.
He has the yelling face, and then he has the grumpy face.
The angry scowl.
He does have quite a scowl. Anyway, I didn't want to talk so long about Kragnos, but he's super
He's
cool.
worth talking about. He's a big deal. So
He's a big deal.
He's a big centerpiece model, so. But that's not all we got. As predicted, we did get some Soulblight as well.
The rest of Soulblight.
I've never been so hype about about models I'm not gonna get for an army I am hyped to play.
Well, shall we start with this first model then?
Let's do it.
Ilkia Vi, Mother of Nightmares. I don't like it. I think it looks kind of stupid, honestly. I think it's because it's the torso on top of a Vargeist model. Or, yeah, it's a Vargeist, right?
I like it.
It's like a drake.
I like it because Legion of Everblight in War Machine has a model like this, and just makes it look terrible.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. Legion of Everblight is like a faction of like elves fused into like body horror dragons, and this is just a completely unrelated thing that's doing that concept way better. I think what's cool about this, and of course we want to hear from you too, John. I think what's cool about this is it's such a contrast of like we have like the vampire lady on top who's like the sort of the aristocrat of the night. She's got the armor, like she's got the makeup, and she's got her hair all done up and everything. And then you can see like what she really is on the bottom. It's sort of showing the bestial natures of like what vampires actually are. Like they may try to look like sort of these like fancy aristocrats, but like they are creatures that have cursed themselves, and they consume blood and they hunt people for sport, and like you definitely don't want a vampire to be the mayor of your town, right? What do you think, John? What do you think about Laukarvai?
I think she's a really cool model. It's a cool design. I'm not gonna get it because I think it's too weird for my army. For my vision of my army. like I'm not mad she exists. I think it's cool that they're exploring this kind of like half bestial, half nobility nature of vampires, and I think it executes that really well. I just don't. I'm just not for that for my army. So I don't think I will pick this. Actually, I don't think I know I will not pick this. I'd rather just small up. I'd rather just have a zombie dragon.
I think the great thing about that is the army is large enough that you can do that.
Yes, I think it's
Um,
for sure.
very much like the vampire counts of old with all the different bloodlines. Like you could totally play many different games and many different lists without ever having a Strigoi vampire in your army, or ever having like von Karstein. Um, this I really like that there is a regular vampire lord option in her kit.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
his the angle they've chosen for him in the photo is actually a very poor angle. He looks much better in the video from sort of 60 degrees to the right. He just kind of looks like he's, he reminds me a little bit of that like Pantone like suntan commercial that where like it's like the little kid like, oh no, I'm gonna go to the beach and get a burn. It's a very strange angle they picked for him. But it's cool that like the Vengorians are gonna, now because of that, you can have a Vengorian special character and a Vengorian generic vampire, which is a great decision, I think.
Kind of reminds me of the what the sea elf guy on the and I can't remember his name.
Oh, the Volturnus and Achillean King kit.
Oh
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, another inspired decision. I think it's so easy to do, and like it doesn't really take away from either model. Yes, probably having her and another Vengorian Lord next to each other will show off a little more that they're the same kit. But I actually think it's pretty cool. She's not exactly my hobby either. Like I don't know if I were to do vampires, like if I would necessarily pick for this bloodline first. But it's cool that there's an option.
Yeah, I just don't like the design.
That is totally fair. It's a very out there design.
It's funny because if the head was like a Vargheist, I would freaking love this model.
Pretty easy to do that.
That's true.
Rip off the top of the vampire and put a Kragnos face,
There you go.
a grumpy face. You could probably make a very cool Vargeist with not too much extra green stuff work by just putting a teeny tiny little Vargeist head on there.
Yeah.
Great looking base too.
Oh, yeah.
Really does a good job to sell the creature.
Oh yeah, it's very nice. But we also got another character. Well, an old character, really.
Spoiler alert: the character. More proof that Cursed City was definitely supposed to come out in November of 2020.
Yeah, we got Rudikar the Beast now. Or was he always the Beast?
Now he's the beast. He used to be the wolf. Now he's the beast.
There you go.
I was on like a 15-minute rant before I played Cursed City on how like I think Radokar lame for a final boss, and this just hammers that point that it looks like a final boss to me. This is a great freaking model. Will not pick it up for the same reasons I noted earlier, or maybe I will. Who knows? But it's super cool. It is a damn cool model.
It's a shame because I think this model is really cool. There's definitely a universe where this was a planned expansion for Cursed City, and it may still end up getting rules for Cursed City, but like it's probably likely that Cursed City was meant to be, when it was supposed to come out in November, was supposed to be kind of a teaser for all of the things for Soulblight Gravelords. Because of the way releases happened, it's now very much coming out at the same time. Like we haven't completed Cursed City yet. Maybe the hidden envelope talks about this. But like it's kind of shocking that only weeks afterwards we get, the reveal of like Radokar's like hidden true form, which is something that the Cursed City novel talks about, but like definitely is not made clear in the game.
Mm.
Though how 4 adventurers would be able to take on a monster of this size, yeah, I guess I think it's a cool thing.
Overwatch, dude. Overwatch.
We can get to that part later too. I really like the little Virkos vampires on the base because like it's cool that they're like collecting his blood, like to spread the curse around.
I don't know. I like this model.
Yeah.
When I compare it to the vampire lords that we just saw, I like this one because this one makes more sense to me. In that he's powering up to his final form, kind of
Yeah.
deal.
It makes sense to me that like that vampires would have two forms like this. So it's actually really cool that like we have the Cursed City Radukar, um, who is much smaller and like he's not human scale. Like he's very much sort of he fills up his 40 millimeter base. Um, but it's cool that like we have like a Radukar revealed sort of form. It's really nice that they maintain the cloak. That the cloak is basically exactly the same proportionally, and now he's kind of not drowning in it as much. Really, really a badass model, and it's cool too that it kind of solidifies Radikar's position as like a character, you know, a character who sticks around and does things in the story. Like, how awesome is it that the guy from the board game, now is in like the full AOS experience? I think it's really, really nice.
Not just a
Yeah,
one-off
that's
villain.
Yeah. It reveals that he doesn't die in the game, but that's okay.
All your efforts are for nothing.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they kicked him out though, because it says that now he bides his time prowling Shaish and plotting revenge, which means that he probably got an eviction notice from the heroes, or something. Again, we haven't completed it, so we don't know. We don't know what's in the secret envelope yet.
Something like something unrelated, like I don't know, Malarian invades like Shaish or something for no reason.
Or it's like a promo card for like the upcoming mobile game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that exists.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But we also got another character model. Belladama Volga versus the Vikros. And what a beautiful model.
It's glorious.
This is really dumb.
It answers such an important question about Cursed City. Radukar, I have often said, looks like he stole his grandma's hat. Now we know that he did.
Stole his grandma's hat.
He literally is wearing his babushka's hat in Cursed City. And it fails him, so he leaves it behind. And then, like, also, this is this name is so fitting to the model. Bella Dama Volga. She going to get the hat. Like, it's great. Like, it's the old granny who is like the progenitor of the bloodline. It's awesome. Somebody made a joke about like Nagash made her a vampire because like he found this 150-year-old woman in a cottage and was like, "Eh, sure, you know, you can be a grave lord. It's fine. You and all of your dogs."
Maybe okay. I actually think this is a worse model than the vampire centaurs. Now, in a vacuum, this is well designed and is cool. But I just don't care about the Kislev aesthetic. Maybe it's because maybe another reason why I don't like Radukar on like a base level is he looks like a Kislev. I just don't like that hardcore like Cossack aesthetic personally.
You don't like the Russian vampires? Come on, man.
No, depends. Like I don't like this like big hat design. I'm definitely not picking this up. I think it's cool she exists. You know, it's a cool war thing. Not for me. Definitely not for me.
This is definitely my favorite of the new vampire characters they revealed today. It is so different, and like I like that it's sort of the Eastern European like Witch of the Woods kind of thing. The fact that one of her powers is turning people into dire wolves is so weird. Like turning people into wolves is one thing, okay, it happens in 40k too. But turning them into undead wolves is really a leap of logic. Like if she turns an ogre into a dire wolf, it's going to be a pretty big dire wolf, right? Or did they just have enough left over to make two?
It's magic. It doesn't have to be explained, you know.
But if
Side
you
note,
make a goblin dire wolf, it's like a puppy.
So direwolf. I just did a count in my head. If you do this Soul Blight release plus the Underworld's Warband plus Cursed City, you're looking at 14 individual vampire models that are all heroes.
So awesome.
Or could be used as heroes. Like, the Underworld's people you could use as vampire lords. The Virkos Bloodborne in Cursed City could be used as vampire lords. That's a lot of vampire characters.
Yeah, it's really important that they got that right. I mean, 14 is, that's lap of luxury for the number of vampire characters we have now. But like vampire themed armies, particularly in the Warhammer tradition, really should have a huge variety of vampires you can choose to be your leader.
Which makes sense.
I think that's one of the reasons that I think Belladama Volga is cool, because it's so different from all the other things. Which, like, if you look at just these three, like her name escapes me, like the Vangorian vampire lady, and then Radukar, and then Volga. Like, even if those three were the only ones in the army, which thank God they're not, like, you would have three very different choices. It's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because you aren't really hype about two of the three of these character models we've looked at, but like you're not really shortchanging yourself that much by not going for them.
I'm actually not hyped of any about them. They're cool, but I'm not. I don't think I'm getting any of these characters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
not even Radukar.
They're there, huh?
Not even Radukar.
No.
You just like hurting Radukar's feelings, John.
Probably. I probably just hate that guy.
You've been bullying him since day one.
Yes. They actually, before we even got the game, bullying.
Yeah.
That is true. But we did get one more unit, which we all anticipated was going to happen, which were the Undead Direwolves.
Now this is hype as hell. I am buying maybe 2 boxes. Probably 1.
Yeah. It's about time that you guys finally got updated.
Insanely badass.
Oh yeah.
So good. I love the one that has a crow like eating its back.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's so cool.
Like that crow, this direwolf is charging into battle, against the Stormcast, and that crow is like, I'm gonna finish the damn meal. I'm gonna eat this guy before those arrows pierce me. Like, it's a great just range of, they're doing so many different things. The leader is howling. Like, there's the one that has the sculpted saliva on his face, which is really, really great. I actually don't even feel like the old direwolves were that terrible. Like,
I don't think they were terrible. I think they're just all the same, right?
they were very limited in posture and pose by being fantasy miniatures. These, and by that I mean Warhammer Fantasy Battle miniatures that had to rank up. These are definitely not limited in that way. Like, I feel like liking these, people are gonna think that I really like wolves for some reason.
Interestingly, like these could still rank up. I kind of feel that they could be more wild, but I'm not mad.
Yeah, because they're in like cool bestial poses, but they're also not in poses that seem completely unrealistic. Like, they're not diving all over the place, standing on one foot.
Mm.
Right.
Which also makes sense because they're zombies.
There is a tactical rock, so
Tactical rock is very important.
You always need the tactical rock.
absolutely.
Yeah, but I just think the old fantasy ones, weren't those like Chaos Hounds too?
So there's the Chaos Hound kit, which is still around and is pretty weird. And then there's the Direwolves kit, which was often used for like Chaos Hounds and stuff too, just because they were pretty close. But those Direwolves also were an incredibly popular model to use in death armies during Age of Sigmar. They were very strong in the first edition of the game. They were very, very good in Legions of Nagash. And now they are back and in HD. It's also cool because, yet again, this is we've seen from the previous models in this reveal how wacky and crazy and out there Age of Sigmar can get, but also Age of Sigmar can just do a very tried and tested fantasy concept and execute it amazingly, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, these are killer models, and I feel like there's just infinite uses you could have for them on any number of gaming tables for any number of systems.
Yeah, we always say that Age of Sigmar has some really wacky, out there, cool designs, which are the appeal of Sigmar, but this proves that again. This continues with this whole vampire release. You know, besides the stuff from today, but like you could just do generic fantasy undead and be super Warhammer or super cool in the cool Warhammer way.
Yeah. Like these are like specifically the one that I really like from this kit is the dire wolf that's sniffing the floor while the raven is eating him. Like there's just a lot of really good details on there of like its innards are hanging out, like bones, you know, are sticking out, like its whole face is only partially covered in flesh. Like these are just done very, very well for a very simple design. Like Soulblight has an incredible range of just weird stuff and then very grounded classical 1980s undead. So yeah, super super awesome. Also, Fellbats got HD'd, you know, for fun.
Yeah. But we knew about them a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we predicted that these guys would be getting an update as well.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Rip
Also,
the
because
Grave Guard,
direwolves
but
have been sold out for 3 months.
yeah, well, when these guys come available at the end of the month, you know, they'll be back in stock. But that's all the model news. They did announce a new game. I don't know if you guys want to talk about it. I don't know how big you guys are into auto battles. But if you even know what that is.
The chibi designs do not do it for me. I'm not much of a mobile gamer though, so this would be a pretty hard pitch to me. Unfortunately, can't see myself getting this one.
Yeah, I just don't care.
I'm with John on this one. I don't really care, and for some reason the video's all not showing up. But yeah, they announced another game coming out in the fall, which will just be an auto battleware. So if you're into that, good for you. Yeah.
Age of Sigmar is still waiting on like a big ticket game that is
Come
gonna
on.
sort of
Just have Stormcast and Warhammer 3. Screw it. You know.
that would be awesome. Is Total War Age of Sigmar, which is sort of no reason they couldn't do.
Well,
but
I mean, there's that one that's being developed by the Dawn of War team, right? That we talked about the end of last year, I want to say. It was like a CGI trailer with Nighthaunt and Stormcast.
Oh, that's the turn-based game. That looks fine.
Yeah, that's still in development.
I just remember that one, but
yeah,
that one of all of the upcoming like Age of Sigmar games, that one generally seems to be the one that's getting the most attention and hype, just because it looks like it's being made to a very high quality and isn't just going to be a sort of dump it on the phone kind of game.
Well, as long as the Dawn of War creators don't make a Dawn of War 3, they'll be fine. They'll be A-okay.
Yeah, I mean, even if they did, which is the worst case scenario, like at least there's no previous like Dawn of Sigmar games to compare it to.
True.
So that was one of the things I think that it's strange about that trilogy of games of Dawn of War is that they're all pretty different.
No, they each experimented.
Yeah, like I can see why people who really like Dawn of War 1 might not like Dawn of War 2. And as why all of those people would not like Dawn of War 3.
Yeah. That was pretty bad. But we'll have to wait and see. But that's all Warhammer Fest, and I must say I was a little shocked. I kind of just expected it to be a whole Soulblight kind of deal. Didn't expect the Kragnos reveal.
I think Saturday is going to be the AOS box.
You think that's the mystery?
Is the AOS 3.0.
Yeah.
It would, if they were lining up for a big June or summer thing to kick stuff off. I could see them talking about what that might be now, particularly because online we've been getting quite a good drip feed of information from reputable quote unquote sources. That 3.0 is probably imminent.
We'll have to wait and see.
It's funny that it seems like the common parlance for Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition is 3.0, which like it's not like we were calling Warhammer 40k 9.0.
I don't know. I think
Why
I
is
just got that. I think I just picked that up from John. I think because he keeps saying
Yeah, 3.0.
AO, AOS 3.0 is coming out, so I just picked it up from him.
I think it's because General's Handbook was like 1.5 because it was like it wasn't an edition release, but it, giving everyone points was like a huge change.
Yeah.
So some people, I never called it 1.5, but I guess enough people called it that they ended up calling AOS 2.0, and now it's 3.0, third edition.
Yeah, I mean AOS, like some people would even argue the General's Handbook is just AOS 1, because like the original game I think was only in its current state for 8 months or something.
Well, in that case, then it's AOS 0.5, so the decimal system still works.
It's true. Good job.
So there you go.
Each of the
Save
Broken
the
Realms.
day. Does that make end times AOS 0.025 of like
Yeah,
who are
heck.
these cool models?
Heck yes.
These cool models who barely rank up.
all the Broken Realms books are just patch notes, you know.
Oh, there's the
Yeah.
2.5 or like 2.75 patch.
Yeah, there you go. But that's it for Warhammer Fest. So, I mean, we're not gonna meet till next week, so we're gonna have a bunch of
40K to talk about.
40k to talk about, and whatever the mystery is, either 3.0 or Battlefleet Gothic or Epic.
All of those are hype. What would suck? All right, let's ask this question really quick. What would suck?
Blood Bowl.
What for the big release day or for box game day?
For big release day.
I mean, nothing or something like a brand new website for Games Workshop. Like, I think it's probably going to be some sort of a model range or some sort of big box. I don't know. I don't know what they could possibly screw up so badly that it would be like a day of something just terrible. Like, even if it was for an army that I didn't like, and it was just like a bunch of new things for that army, like new models is pretty exciting. Like they don't generally make models that are just completely terrible that everybody hates forever these days. Sometimes they have some misfires, and they definitely like today's reveals. They're not afraid of making very strange out there models that are pretty divisive.
Mm-hmm.
But like something that would be incredibly disappointing that they won't do would be like 10th edition 40k or something like some 9.5 thing of like we're gonna do kind of like a psychic awakening thing for 40k. That would be a little lame. A big supplement series, because Broken Realms very much feels like it's tying off the end of this edition. Like this is an appropriate time to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that for 40k would be weird, or endless psychic powers.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be anything 40k related, in my honest opinion, unless it is the two games.
God, if it's Battlefleet Gothic, holy crap! I will be screaming on my.
I would think it'd be more.
I will buy 3 core sets. And
Yeah,
make, like the Sons of Horus Siege of Terrafleet.
that would not be something I would be excited about, but that would be pretty cool. Like I wouldn't be disappointed to see that. Like BFG is, it's one of the things that kind of is missing on the roster of specialist games that never really came back that has a chance to come back.
But well, you
Hopefully
can
those
play
would
as the
be-
Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, I'm not into ship games, unfortunately. It's not sort of just not for any really reason. Like that would be super cool, and I might even get like some to paint them. But Battlefleet Gothic is a little bit strange in the spectrum of specialist games for Games Workshop, because overall rules wise, it's not remembered for being a great game, at least from people I've talked to who played it. Unlike things like Mordheim and like Necromunda and other things that like were renowned for also being good games, even Blood Bowl, which of course I would never play, like Blood Bowl, was well regarded. Battlefleet is a really cool concept that I feel like Games Workshop has never quite gotten right. So yeah, I mean, making an HBD Battlefleet would be super amazing. for people who like ships.
We'll
But
have
I
to
don't
wait
know
and
how-
see.
I don't know how much of a role Forge World would play in that, because it would be a Horus Heresy Battlefleet
Yeah,
Gothic, for sure.
unless they're just like, if everyone here's here's like a Necron Tomb ship and like an Orc Space Hulk, let's go.
Well, I
Yeah.
would think they'd have to make it modern, if anything, just because I assume Battlefield Gothic, the video game, was pretty popular.
It is.
Yeah, it did well.
And it's quite different from the board game.
Well, I mean, I know it'd be different, but I think if they wanted to get a wider audience, they would include all the Xeno races.
BFG, Games Workshop, would basically have to reinvent.
Oh, they've had feels like 20 years to work on it, so.
Yeah.
15 years not thinking about it, if they're coming out with it. I can see why Forge World would want to do it, because Forge World also made ships for BFG at one point.
They did, the Tau ships.
Yeah. And that could happen. Like that could be like a sort of a big reveal, but AOS 3rd edition, I think, is also.
Yeah, it's probably realistically it's probably that.
Yeah, so.
And then paving the way for fall of this year being 40k stuff.
Yeah, so I would probably agree with John that this would probably be AOS 3.0. Going by the signs that we're getting. But it's just a little weird. Well, when would it come out? Like September?
June.
Is
it June? Whenever 40k 9th came out.
So June 18th, June 20th or so is, for the last few years, has been like that's the period that they're trying to get things released for those summer kind of blockbusters. August is not impossible, but I think if they want to follow up what they've done previously, it's got to be a big summer release, and I think now is the time to talk about it. Even if it's not AOS 3, I'll say, I think they might start dropping hints of what the summer is going to be.
Well,
in any form.
I just asked because we still haven't gotten. We got the elf book, right?
Yes.
Lumineth?
Lumineth. Okay, so I mean, we still haven't gotten 2 books yet. We haven't gotten Belcor and we haven't gotten Ragnos.
Oh, Belcor just came out.
Yeah, the Belcor book came out.
It did come out?
Yeah.
Kragnos will probably be out in.
Oh, he came out with Belcor, right?
Next month or so.
Yeah.
Kragnos is coming with a lot of miniatures, so I'm not 100% sure. They probably took that 2-week break in part to try to make sure that they were going to be able to come out with those 5 kits that they need to do for Kragnos.
Okay, then yeah, never mind. I guess June is acceptable. I guess June is acceptable.
It'll be something bigger than an army release.
We'll find out in 5 days, and
That's true.
give all our thoughts on it next week. But unless you guys got any more you want to talk about, I think we can head over to the hobby rant section.
War of the Ring. Let's go.
Old World.
Old World's not coming out for another 10 years. Come on, Will.
That's my hope.
I just like how I increase it every podcast.
Just continue delaying Old World until all of those who would wish to go back to the Old World have forgotten what they even wanted in the first place.
Well then, let's go to hobby rant, shall we?
Let's do it.
Unfortunately for me, this week I'm free. I can actually start working on hobbies and playing games and all that. But yeah, I didn't really get to do anything other than paint a little bit here and there and just work. Unfun in the hobby scene for me. But other than that, life is being well.
Not every week can be Christmas. It's sometimes the minis they stay right where we left them.
Collecting dust, adding
They
more
always
effects.
stay right where we left them. They don't come to life.
But I know before we started, I heard you guys talking about Cursed City. How's that going? Your campaign and all that.
Yeah, John, how is it going?
It's super fun. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the game. I will say, I mean, I guess we could just talk about Cursed City. As a game, it sucks. If you're trying to play Cursed City because you want a dungeon crawl experience and that's all you care about, it's not worth $200. If you want a dungeon crawl set in Warhammer, it's amazing. If you want a dungeon crawl set in Warhammer with awesome modern Warhammer miniatures, you should just pick it up. If you can still find it, that is. There's still some shops that have it, but it's an excellent experience. A good game to compare it to is Gloomhaven because that's a dungeon crawl we played relatively recently, and Gloomhaven is mechanically a better game, but I prefer Warhammer Crest way more because it's Warhammer.
I don't
Like
know.
straight up.
I don't know if I can agree that it sucks. It's definitely the game part of it, and reviews have also sort of followed that. Like the game part of it is definitely not the reason to go. Like they've done a really good job, of course, with the miniatures, which is as we expect from Games Workshop, and I think that's one of the reasons most people bought the game. But I think like they do a good job with like the background, like the random events table. Like they try to do a really good job of giving the city, the cursed city, sort of a sense of space, and like they want to give detail to what's going on, like who are these bad guys, in a way that I feel like of other dungeon crawl games I've played, it kind of is just like the combat and fighting generic enemies is sort of doesn't feel as special all the time. It's not a great game system though.
But that's what I'm saying though, like because when I say game, I mean like mechanically. If you just look at the mechanics in a vacuum, those other games do it way better. But I think Cursed City makes for a better experience because, like I said, the atmosphere, the characters, like the fact that there is background
Yeah.
is cool. But again, like if you just want, because a lot of people, I hear a lot of people saying like, oh, like like I could break this so easily, or like this rule doesn't make any sense, or like this hero is better, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, I mean, I think I say it's not a good game in the same way people shouldn't, in my opinion, don't think 40K is a good game just mechanically. Like if 40K was played with just cardboard cutouts, it would suck. The same way if Cursed City was played with cardboard cutouts, it would suck.
Yeah.
The miniatures and the background really drive it, and it's worth playing just for that. And
Yeah,
okay,
and
I
it
would
wouldn't
say
even exist without
the,
those.
I said the game sucks, but it is definitely the best Warhammer Quest I have played. I mean, you played way more than me will, but I played Blackstone Fortress quite a bit, and I think this is like a million times better than Blackstone Fortress.
Yeah, I haven't played Blackstone Fortress at all. I've played the other two. I haven't played Silver Tower to completion because that's a very arduous task to do. This one has more in common with Silver Tower than it does with Hammer Hall, certainly, which was a Warhammer quest that required a dungeon master. Which I don't think they'll do something like that again. Just because I think that's not quite the style they're going for in these big box board games. Like they're supposed to be able to play it by yourself if you have no one to play it with. Um, it is definitely way better than Silver Tower. Like they've had 5 years to iterate and kind of learn how to make these Warhammer Quest games better. I think it's pretty easy to pick up the basics of this game. Um, the issue is probably that it can get a wee bit repetitive. Like particularly if you're not like switching up heroes and like we played an incredibly fun mission over the weekend where we got to fight a boss, and the boss battle itself, which we can also talk about, like was really quite amazingly fun in the end. But like the book said, like you have to play a mission directly before this one, and it was a mission we already done, and we just kind of looked at each other and we're like, yeah, we're not doing that. Like we'll just go to the boss. Uh, it can be a little tedious is a word that I've heard people toss around with Warhammer Quest Cursed City, and I think that complaint makes sense. It can probably feel that way, particularly if you're playing by yourself.
Hmm.
Like it's not as well made a game as something like Gloomhaven mechanically. Which I haven't really played all that many dungeon crawls. Have you, Matt?
The only one I've really played is that I've mentioned before is Shadows of Brimstone, and I have played uh Gloomhaven. Not much of it, but I have played a little bit of Gloomhaven.
I've heard Shadows of Brimstone is good actually. It's come up a lot in comparison with Cursed City as just like being a better game.
Oh, maybe one day I'll play test it if you guys want to play.
Does it have models?
It does.
That's awesome. That is already a big step up. The models and the immersion is a big part of why I think Cursed City has been fun.
Yes.
Because otherwise, yeah, you make a good case, John. I don't think I would. I don't think I would own the game if it weren't for the minis. Which that alone, says that it's probably not worth it. The $200.
I think the minis alone are definitely worth $200. If you look at buying them individually. But I had real I again like I just want to hammer in the game not being the best point because here's the thing. I played Warhammer for a really long time, and you
Right.
guys have as well. And I played a lot of other miniatures games for a long time. And I think that Games Workshop, people who ask better gameplay from Games Workshop need to like guys, you won't get it. Games Workshop does not care about making a mechanically the most interesting game ever. They make games that one have great minis and two have deliver good experiences, usually narratively.
Right.
And that's why you play this game. Is because again, like when I hear people say like, "Oh, like X, Y, and Z hero is OP," or like this mission you could break this by doing this, it's like that's not why you play this game. Gloomhaven, when we were playing Gloomhaven, I was reading about it, and that's how you play that game is you find broken it is about finding the broken combos and efficient and hyper efficient turn or like order of activations for you and your team. That's the beauty of that game, and that's why it's so popular among board gamers, right? But Warhammer Quest is, the appeal is again, like I really hammer the fact that it's Warhammer, and listeners, if you play Warhammer, you'll know what I mean. Like it's War. It feels like if you play this game, it feels like a Warhammer game. Like there's undead, there's like there's undead, there's heroes, there's monsters. To iterate, like when we were playing a mission, and there was a random event where a stormcast appears outside and is about to kill a civilian, and I think we let them kill. Well, the party leader let
the party leader let it happen.
and it turns out he was infected with some undead disease, and that's like this is so Warhammer, like it had no real bearing into the gameplay. Like I think it just gave us a debuff for no reason, but it was super thematic.
It gave us the debuff of like people died and like we lost inspiration points because it was like, wow, we just let that happen.
Yeah, because I think killing the guy caused some like civilian.
Yeah, because like the stormcast brought down a thunderbolt and like killed 20 random civilians and also the target.
Yeah,
because the stormcast has a quota to fill. Not unlike a space marine showing up and blowing up a space station because there was a cult uprising inside or something.
yeah, and that's super Warhammer. Mechanically makes no sense, but it's super Warhammer, and I love it.
Yeah,
that's why this game's awesome.
I think it also like it has enough strange like distinct stuff in it to make it feel like more Warhammer than just like your humans fighting an army of undead. Like they they went the extra mile of designing things that were unique and special to make it feel like you couldn't get this experience anywhere else.
Yeah.
While also kind of like the dire wolves, like the skeletons in there, those are great looking skeletons. You would be happy to use those in anything where skeletons would be desired. But they've also got the Virkos Bloodborne, who are the kind of the feral vampires that while that's not entirely a unique concept, the way they're designed and the way Radikar is designed, you wouldn't mistake them for something else. Like they're very Cursed City. Like that's the brand is strong with the game. So yeah, I think I could probably concede the point that like the game is not why we're playing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The game is good enough, I would say, to make up for like it's not like the models are carrying the entire experience. Otherwise, we would just use the models in a different game. Like the game is competent enough to, you can have fun rolling dice and failing your save roll and then rolling a lucky crit and destroying something. Like in the boss battle that we did, we we like baited out the boss and then like set up our witch hunter was taking shots at it whenever it popped up from its hole, which the mission is not necessarily written to be that way, but like we found a fun strategy that worked, and like it was enjoyable to do that.
And it was fluffy, like you're baiting the monster. I mean, the mission was called the hunt, right? So you're
Right.
hunting the monster and waiting in the shadows and overwatching like a Tau fire warrior,
Yeah.
That was just super cool.
Yeah.
I will concede that as well. Like, I think the game is fun and is fun. It's not boring. It's not it doesn't drag. It doesn't.
Right.
The gameplay doesn't drag the game down. It's enough to create a good experience, but not enough to create a tight board game like Spiel des Jahres winner game.
Right.
Because some people expect that for some reason, right?
Yeah.
From Games Workshop, it's like, no, you don't play Warhammer for that. You
What-
play the games are fun.
What are the best? Maybe they're previous editions. Maybe this is a quick topic of conversation, so the podcast doesn't go too long. What are like the best written Warhammer game systems that have ever existed? Like when has Games Workshop proven that they knew how to make game systems? What would you guys say? Yeah, that one comes to mind. What do you think, Matt? What is the best like edition or like game system mechanically do you think Games Workshop has ever made?
That's a tough question because I only really played 40K. I didn't really dive out much into the other systems.
Okay, let's go for 40K. What do you think is the best edition in terms of just like mechanically everything makes sense and is a good quote unquote game?
Well, my bias will say 4th edition.
Gotcha. My bias would agree.
There's just a lot of stuff that happened in 4th edition that in my opinion, made the game go by a lot faster than. I mean, right now it's good where it is, but as they kept adding more and more stuff to the system, as in flyers, titans, and a lot of other stuff, it really dragged the game down. I thought 4th edition was pretty good. 4th and 5th were pretty good on how the game flowed. Also, my Eldar were really stupid OP back then too, but
yeah, Hollow Fields. I will never forget that.
Yeah, no one will ever forget that. Whoever fought me. But
is Fish of Fury 5th or 4th edition?
5th edition, Fish of Fury.
Yeah.
See, because that was the Rhino Rush. That was a transport edition. Rhino Rush, Fish of Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like in 4th edition, like shooting wasn't quite so lethal in terms of just getting everything deleted on like the first turn. Like many a game like my Gene Stealer's foot slogged across the field, where they probably now with such tiered lists as I was doing then were just massive hordes of melee. They probably would have been shot to pieces.
No, you're right. I never thought of that. Yeah, like melee was good that game, that edition.
Yeah, because you had that. Well, you had the. I'm blanking on the name. The one where you can move after you kill someone in combat.
Oh, Consolidate.
Yeah, Consolidate.
It was really long, and unlike now, it was pretty easy to wipe units because you could sweep.
Yeah, you could just consolidate into the next unit, start that combat up, and then goodbye Tau gun line.
Yeah. And for context, listeners, in that edition, if long story short to compare it right now, if the enemy unit you're fighting in combat failed its morale check or battle shock, you would first check if you caught them, but then if you did, you would just kill the whole unit, and then you could consolidate into another.
Yeah, it was super cool.
That was super cool.
I remember many sort of a multi-combat charge where I was playing Tyranids against my buddy's Blood Angels, and like the Mephistone on one side and the Hive Tyrant on the other, killing squads and like consolidating into other squads to try to get to each other. It was Melee was very melee perhaps was too powerful because sometimes shooting armies would just be torn to pieces by anything that had rending on it, or well, rending, I don't know if it was a rule back then. It was a long
Yes,
time
it
ago.
was.
And, AP
Uh,
value worked differently. It was more like
it did.
if you had an AP 6 weapon, if you had a 6 up armor save, you didn't get a save.
Yeah, it wasn't a modifier.
Yeah.
It was just it was an on or off value. So things that were AP2 were real good.
Yes.
Because that means the Terminators aren't getting their save. Well, they'll get their invuln. But yeah, fourth edition, I remember fondly. It's a little hard for me to. It's hard for me to be objective on that one because I was really a kid when that was a thing.
I think we were all pretty young when that edition came out, so.
In ye olde times. And then I think for fantasy, John, you would typically say that sixth edition was
Like 6th or 7th.
Mhm.
I think I just like the 7th edition army book designs like as a book, so I'm biased for that. But yes, 6 had some good mechanics. I mostly played 7th. I started with 6, but yeah, 6 or 7th.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I started 7. No, when did Tomb Kings get their book? I don't know.
Well,
Well, when Battle for Skull Pass. That's when I started.
that was 7th. That was
Yeah.
7th. Yep.
Yeah, so. That's when I played. Was in 7th edition. Still terrible at the game.
Yeah.
I
And I guess
played it.
final word, because Matt mentioned it, like I think just getting more stuff is detrimental to having like a tight rules experience. I mean, like Star Wars Legion has a tight rule set because there's 4 factions, and those factions are tiny compared to like your typical 40k army. So that's kind of in my opinion, an inevitability of a game system as you just get more stuff, that it's going to be harder to make a cohesive, tight, balanced, quote unquote, rules experience. Which is, a trade off I would happily take. I'd rather just have more cool stuff.
And it
Yeah.
depends, right? It just depends on your game system. If you just like the models and don't really care about playing, then yeah, more models is always great. I think more models is always great if it's earned, kind of deal, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Warhammer has coasted for a long time on having really good models, but I mean they've made sure to invest into that so they would stay on top of the pack. Like there are editions of Warhammer, we're not talking about that are just unspeakably bad in both sort of versions of the game. Um, you know, even early Age of Sigmar had it pretty rough. Like that, the original game system for Age of Sigmar was incredibly divisive and was not sustainable, which is why GW changed their minds on it. But there were really cool models, so people were still supporting the hobby and participating in it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have worked for another company, and I think though not always successfully. At least it feels to me like Games Workshop is trying. Uh, Not being good at it is a different thing. But like, they don't do the FAQs, because they're not like they're not putting out the FAQs to try to make the game worse. Like they're putting out FAQs because they believe that's what needs to be done, but they're not doing nothing.
Right.
But we should also probably not be surprised that Cursed City is a game that you're there because it's Warhammer and there's cool models to paint.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you'd also hope it would be a good game as well.
Yeah, good enough. Like it's not unspeakable potato game.
Yeah.
But like it's definitely if it's the better system of Warhammer Quest, like that's it's kind of saying it's a more it's a more well crafted French fry. uh, like that is it has to be good enough for because otherwise you could just take all the models and go play Warcry with them, which hey you could do anyway. And there's definitely like the reception of Cursed City as a game is not incredibly positive across the board, just from a lot of reviews and what people are saying and like Board Game Geek and stuff.
I'll say this: if you think 40k and AOS are good enough games or fun games, then you will definitely think that Cursed City is a fun and good game, which I do. To be fair,
Yeah.
on that, if you think Gloomhaven is a good game and you want game Cursed City to be that, it's gonna fail miserably. It's not that, which is okay.
Hmm.
different opinions may not always be the same.
Indeed.
But that's why we have them, especially here with our trash opinions.
Indeed.
It's a good segue to close out the stream here. Of course, next week, like I said, we'll have the rest of Warhammer Fest to talk about. So, look forward to that, and we'll see what if our last week predictions were any good.
Or the ring. Let's go.
So, unless you guys got any final words?
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right,
My
then.
final words are see you next time.
See you next time. All right. Till then, goodbye.
Good night, everyone.